savvy Hester. I'm the director at Autism Mapmaker, and I'm not gonna lie, tech issues, whew, it just seems to kind of happen. So I don't want to waste any more time. So let's get going. I have that PowerPoint presentation here, and then on my page, I also went ahead and did a link to the folder. So it has a worksheet, it has like a summary, and more places you can look for resources, for if you want to kind of deep dive into any of the kind of topics we kind of discussed tonight. And again, I am so sorry for being late. I was trying so hard to make sure we could all see the PowerPoint last week. Well, 2 weeks ago. So I think we finally have it set up. We finally have it good to go. So, boom. I was going to say I'll wait, but I think most people will be kind of hopping in soon. And I want to make sure that we can kind of at least, and the first kind of 2 slides are more about kind of making sure we establish from last week and then checking in on this week. This week again. So last week we kind of discussed how we approach our students, our children, different families, how we support. We believe your kid makes sense. The hard part of the conversation is how we set up language, how we set up access, how we set up choices. The hardest part is, our culture, communities, environment. No, they do not support pausing, backing up. I understand. But the problem is our kids who are fighting language deprivation, they need us to show up. Anyways, patient? No. Patient. We need to understand autism is based on pattern, right? When you have children who are fighting language deprivation, we need to make sure that we are going back. Those assumptions we are filling in because we do not always understand the message. So, for example, like when I told my daughter no drinking after 7, she thought, no, she can drink again. No, she started just bawling because she thought I was ending. I'm thankful she had the language to be able to ask so I could understand what was wrong. We unintentionally show a lot of patterns that we might not understand and recognize that we show. When we demand you sit at the table and you eat your tacos. You love tacos. Eat it. You're not leaving the table until, I hate to tell y'all, but GI, heartburn, that thin connective tissue, when we ignore behavior, but that's the only way for that child to communicate, because don't have access to knowing the sign for that word, not knowing how to explain that feeling. It's a lot to put on responsibility for the kid to handle when that is our responsibility as the adults. So when we are discussing that your kid makes sense, I'm serious. And then there's no blame, there's no heat, there's no shame in my game. People no matter what age, do not learn when they are scared, anxious, not a thing. So we need to make sure that we are understanding the message that we are displaying. When we understand that their behavior makes sense, then we start to zoom out. Try and figure out what will cause that behavior, that emotional response. What makes sense? Tonight, we are going through the trauma loop decoder. It's one of the tools we have on our website. It's free. But I want to kind of have us more pause because I feel like there's a lot that we need to understand about setting up conversations, setting up goals, setting up children for success. Okay. So when we are like chatting about the trauma loop, I'm not like vague. I'm ADHD. I am specific. So I kind of want to discuss that initial kind of loop because honestly, I feel like this is kind of how it works out 99.99% of the time. And the more that we kind of understand that pattern, the more we kind of interrupt and pause before it becomes more trauma, more why try. So let's kind of expand. What's 6? So 1, a need arises. Maybe hungry, maybe thirsty, maybe scared. Let's use the example, that kid is hungry, okay? But 2, they know it's not like mealtime, breakfast, lunch, dinner. They know that your family does not eat when it's not mealtime. Or maybe that's fine, go get a snack, but it's not the snack the kid wants. Or maybe it needs different. Back to that connective tissue, we have so much we need to zoom out and try to consider before we just label it refusal. When we're talking about autism, I need people to remember that meat suit, 70 bit per second of information compared to 7. Okay, so obviously there's a little bit of a discrepancy. How we approach that is huge. So when we are chatting about trauma and trauma loops, I need people to understand it's not about what you experience. And we are limited, very limited, to our own experiences. So how we set up our response is a lot. It's a lot important. Because how we perceive that behavior will change how we respond. I want to pause and make sure people understand. I am not trying to say, no, give the kid whatever they want. Okay. No. Your no stays no. If push becomes hell no. We do not change boundaries, but we also don't change the patience and support that we are showing. So when we are talking about why that adult's response is important, okay, your child only has the ability to co-regulate. DB. I don't know what a DB is. But when they're kind of stuck with that co-regulation, if we are responding frustrated, if we are responding where they don't really have a chance to be calm, to borrow our calm, it's a little bit of a problem. Children age 17, 18 under, can't physically independently regulate, emotionally regulate their bodies. Can't. They are learning how their body works, runs. And again, with that more sensitive kind of meat suit, it's important that we understand that they might be having a challenging time. What do I mean? Okay. So we have hard of hearing kids who can hear electricity in the lights. We have kids who have such sensitive skin. Those shirt tags cause red, raised skin. Those welts. That is not the same as my, it's fine, but it's not that. Me dismissing that complaint because no, look, my tag is itchy, it's fine. No. How we respond, how we support them is huge. When the adult does not respond calmly, and I'm not saying it's always easy. Often not easy. But we as adults can physically, independently regulate. We need to learn how our body needs us to, because honestly, that is also a person by person by person situation. But that child, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, shut down, disconnect. When we have caused anxiety, we need to understand how their body reads our behavior. They know that we love them, but we are still twice their size. We are still scary when we mad. And when we are frustrated, often it becomes more restrictions, more limits, more taken, which then just increases the anxiety. That whole number 5, where the world becomes less predictable because I don't know what caused you to snap. I don't know what caused you to become upset. I don't know what's going on, but okay. But when children without language, without access to language, know the right questions to ask, the right time to ask that question. How am I supposed to know that the snacks from the store ran out and we don't have money to buy more? So me asking caused my parents to have a big stressful response because I feel stressed about money already, and then I'm asking for more. It's no one's fault, but my response is huge. How does that kid know about the store item running out? How do they know about? They don't know. And we often try to protect them from that kind of stress. And I understand it's not their responsibility to carry that kind of stress, but they can still have the information. If they want to help, they can go and like save up their coins, help pay out Walmart. Y'all know that coin opens up and you can just dump all of your coins. That's how Tig, when she wants a snack, like specific, she has to find the coins to buy it. It works out, but when I'm communicating what the problem is, I can offer answers. Maybe it takes more time. Maybe we can. They don't make that anymore. Then I need to explain. I need to understand. Disappointment is real and loud. That big, heavy feeling in their body when they can't access 100% allowed. It is not our job, our responsibility to, oh no! Okay, I'll fix that. 1 minute.